Welcome to the PFS Network podcast. My name is Mitch, and I'll be your host for an important new series where we speak to patients, families, and clinicians about the devastating impact that post-finasteride syndrome has had on many lives. Today, we'll be joined by Ardalan, a man from Sweden who unfortunately has been dealing with a multitude of symptoms for several years as a result of taking the drug finasteride. Ardalan, I'm very pleased that you've decided to join me to speak about your condition today, so welcome.
Thank you, I'm happy to be here.
So you're 40 years old, you're from Sweden, and you're a teacher, is that right?
That is correct, yeah.
And you've how long have you had PFS for?
3.5 years now.
What was your life like, 3.5, 4 years ago? Who were you before all of this happened?
Well, before I took the drug, actually, I was a normal person, with plans, and I'm driving. I was doing a lot of things. I was living abroad. I lived a stint in Italy, where I learned the language and worked, and I then moved to Argentina, where I lived and worked and studied as well. And so before taking the drug, I was just a normal person with a lot of energy and a lot of plans, I would say. And life was normal, basically. But yeah, interests. I love languages. That's my maybe greatest interest. But I also love music. I play some guitar and sing a little bit. That's just a hobby, But and literature as well. So I studied literature, and so these are my three great interests. And sports. I follow football a lot. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about sort of 3.5, 4 years ago? What was your social life like?
Yeah, when I was living in Italy and Argentina, I was surrounded by people all the time, and a rich social life, I would say. Yeah. I have one brother, and he's my best friend in life. Yeah, I have
cool.
Really, it will sound like a cliche, but I have a wonderful family. It's just incredible.
Yeah. And so your career before all of this happened, were you a teacher 4 years ago? What were you doing back then?
I was teaching, I was teaching in Argentina. Yes, I am a teacher. I teach languages. I teach mostly Spanish and Italian.
Did you have a partner before all of this happened?
I was dating, and I was having a romantic life, so to speak. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That was a normal part of life. I wouldn't think about it too much. You would date, you would go out with people.
Right.
It wasn't an issue at all before all this happened.
So it sounds like you said, you had a pretty normal life then. Were you pretty active?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports, like mostly football.
Mm-hmm.
I would play football 3 times a week at least. I would play.
Wow.
So I would go running. And, yeah, definitely.
How long ago did you start taking the drug?
Back in 2009.
A long time ago.
And a long time ago. And when I started taking the drug, I didn't feel anything, like no adverse effects at all. Like 5 years into, after into taking the drug, I started feeling things. I didn't think it was finasteride.
Right. So you didn't really associate the two?
No.
Right.
Not at all. Like cognitive side effects, like focus and like sound processing,
Right.
And mental sharpness.
What do you mean by sound processing?
I get overwhelmed by too many sounds, or sounds sometimes in general, like sounds coming, like speech,
Right.
Like it's too much. I get overwhelmed. It's like the brain activates some defense mechanism.
And you said then cognitive difficulties as well.
Definitely, like mental sharpness, focus, problem, like processing what I would read. Definitely.
Right.
That would be a big problem. Like I wouldn't remember what I read 3 sentences ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I've spoken about this to other people who I interview, but that for me is like memory, short-term memory is
Yeah.
It's very difficult to explain as well. Like I write a lot of things down and make
Yeah.
big lists because that's difficult for me as well.
And another thing is the teeth. I'm positive this is because of finasteride. It's teeth grinding, like excessive
Right.
teeth grinding.
This is about 4 or 5 years in, I think you said. How worried were you by that, and how severe were things at the time, or did they sort of just gradually get worse? Can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it gradually worsened
Right.
to the point that I started thinking, what is the root cause of this?
Mm.
I thought it was something else. I mean, you don't, because you took the pill every day for 5 years and nothing happened.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, things get worse. But I came to the conclusion that, this must be the problem. It must be this pill I'm taking every day.
Right.
So in the end, I took a decision. I stopped taking the pill, and I said, we'll see what happens now. I was hoping for a quick recovery, like I stopped taking it, and things would get back to normal. That was.
Do you feel you had enough information then to consent to the risks of finasteride?
Not at all. Not even close.
So the cognitive effects, I think different people describe them in different ways, but how would you describe, I guess, a lot of people say brain fog, but for you, like, the memory obviously is not working the way it should, but how would you describe that?
I mean, it's not only brain fog, it's like the brain is poisoned. You know what I'm saying? Like neurologically poisoned. That's what it feels like. And that is, I mean, that's, yeah, you want to empty your brain out of, so the poison just runs out. You don't want to start over again,
Right.
And in the end, I said, it must be this pill. And it's getting worse and worse. It can't be anything else. So I said, well, now it's time to stop taking this crap, And I quit cold turkey. I just woke up in February in 2018 one day. I think it was the 8th. It's like people remember anniversaries and birthdays, and I remember this day, But this way, it started before, like, when taking the drug, and all of these effects got way worse when I stopped taking the drug.
And then you make the decision to come off the drug. What happens next?
Well, I mean, things were kind of the same, I think, for a month or so, I think. And then I developed further side effects.
Right.
Like adverse reaction to certain foods. Anything, well, high carb foods, definitely.
Okay.
That would.
So what happens when you get these adverse reactions?
In my case, I get these cognitive crashes,
Right.
Really a hard time focusing. I also get like this. I get kind of depressed. You can call it. It's like a small depression almost. Like you feel down, really down after you eat like high carb food. It's a lot of like cognitive issues. Even sound processing.
Just from eating high carb foods.
Certain foods.
Wow. And what else started happening in terms of other symptoms that sounds like you got new symptoms after you stopped taking the drug?
Adverse reaction to ejaculation. So after sex or after masturbation, you also get all these cognitive issues, and it affects your mood and temper as well. You get really a hard time focusing, mental sharpness. It's just you feel like you just feel like lobotomized.
It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Like I have the same problem. It's quite kind of graphic to talk about, but the after effect for me is just like, sometimes I just lose energy for the rest of the day.
Yeah. The thing is, like for the first 2 years after I quit taking finasteride, I would these crashes would last for like 2 or 3 days. So like, if I would, yeah, if once like one ejaculation, that crash would last for 2 or 3 days. I would almost be bedridden.
Wow.
For the, yeah. That has gotten better. So the effect is less, I feel it's not as bad as it was before. That definitely. But it's still there. So yeah. And then you have the inability to cope with stress. But the least amount of stress. Like everyday life stress. That is not really stress for other people. Like I could see a child screaming, walking down the street, and it causes me stress. That wouldn't happen to me before. That did not happen to me before,
There's things now that I'm just so sensitive to. And I remember in the early days, I couldn't be around other people because I would get angry because I would get stressed. Like they would ask me to do like the smallest thing, like if I was around my family, and I would just be like, I can't handle stress. And I would just like freak out.
Definitely.
So it puts a strain on, just being human and being around other people, right?
Yeah.
So what else? New symptoms that appeared?
Yeah, very short temper. All these mood swings that you don't know why. What is this coming from? Reactions to, as you said, people saying something and you want to say "f*** off," but you don't want to say "f*** off" really because you like those people, But it's just, you can't control that with these mood swings. It was worse the first 2 years. I'd say generally all my symptoms were really, really bad the first 2 years after I quit taking finasteride. They were unbearable back then. It's just, visual impressions and auditory impressions generally, and you have too many of them, like being out with people, like in street scenarios or classroom scenarios for me.
Right. Well, I was going to say, is that like, how do you deal with that and do you teach primary or secondary education?
Secondary education. So you have these, yeah. Speaking of hormonal issues, they have hormonal issues as well, but that's natural, that's normal. And that it gets too much because there's, a lot of things going on, and the brain can cope with all these sounds and all these visual impressions. Obviously, that was normal for me before I took this pill, but it's too much. Like, if you're like in a square somewhere, and people are moving, people are speaking, people are talking, and it's too much. It's just too much. You can't handle it, so it causes some kind of a crash. And you tend to avoid those places because of this,
So, and again, that has an effect on just being human, right? Like with social. Yeah.
Everyday life, really, like you have to modify your everyday life because of this. So you have to prepare mentally. Now I'm going to this place, so you have to prepare for this. Before I would like go anywhere I like, anywhere I wanted. Now I have to prepare for it.
I've never thought of it like that. Like that I have to do the same thing. Like I even like prepare now. Like sometimes I'm so anxious about what's going to happen when I go to like a shopping center. So I have to like prepare for it. Sorry, I cut you off, but that's something that
I've
never thought about.
Yeah, and all the cognitive issues like focus, memory, mental sharpness, and all that. That has gotten worse after I quit taking finasteride. Once again, first 2 years were the worst. Now I can read a book. First 2 years I couldn't open a book. That was horrible.
I bet
like written language was too much. Like a word, 2 words, 3 words. This is too much. I can't process this. What is this? You know? And I was a great reader.
Right.
I was before I would read a novel in 2 days, just read it. And I would remember all of it.
Well, as a teacher as well, and as someone who loves learning, it's like, must be difficult. Yeah.
Muscle pain. I don't know if, like severe muscle pain, like neck pain, and like in my arms and all, in my body basically. Once in the first 2 years, horrible muscle pain, just almost every day. It's like if you have somebody that's giving you a good beating, for it's just, why is this hurting so much? What's happening to my body? It's like, I mean, there are more blurry vision. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have. I have that. Some days I get blurry vision, just like that. Like, you can't see the way you did like yesterday. Yesterday was fine. What's happening today? So. And last but not the least is extreme head pressure, like this intracranial pressure that is there. So like especially around the temples and forehead. That is extreme. I mean, when you can't do anything with it. When you lay down, it gets worse sometimes. When you lean over, it gets worse. It's not good when you stand up or you're sitting down, so you don't know what to do with it.
What's kind of going through your head when all of this happens? It's, been on the drug for such a long time, and then you come off and you probably just expect everything to go back to normal. What are you thinking at this point?
I mean, the first thing is it's a confirmation that it was the drug that caused all this. Because, you don't get worse because you stop taking the drug. It's because of the drug. And then the second thought is I need to seek help.
So did you do that? Did you go and see doctors, clinicians? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I contacted several doctors. And mostly, the first doctors, they just told me it was either stress or anxiety disorder. That's a classic, I think. And they tried to prescribe me antidepressants, and I just tell them, no, never. No, there's no way I'm going to take this. I'm not taking this. That was fairly common, like doctors to try to prescribe these pills, And when I mentioned finasteride, they wouldn't take it seriously. They wouldn't look into it even.
They wouldn't even look into it at all.
Yeah.
Just completely dismissed you.
No.
What kind of effect does that have on you then when you go and see all these different doctors and they just either reject you or, there's nothing really they can do to help?
First of all, helplessness. You feel completely helpless. Because if you have a broken leg, or if you get disabled, you get a wheelchair at least. You know what I'm saying? Like you get something. It's not optimal. Life was better before when you had both your legs, but if you lose a leg and you have a wheelchair, it's better than not having a wheelchair. But here you don't get anything at all. It's just, yes, it's stress and it's anxiety or whatever. It's all in your head. And it's not neurological, it's psychological, they say. And that's a big, huge difference. Neurological is not the same as psychological. There are two different worlds. And, so it's helplessness that you don't get the wheelchair at least, you know what I'm saying? Like, metaphorically speaking.
Right.
And And you feel humiliated because you feel like they're almost laughing at you. Like, what are you talking about? This drug, finasteride? It hasn't been documented that it can do all these things. You know, we haven't information about this. We don't have information about this. How is this possible? Then you coming dictating what is and what is not when it comes to this drug. You know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, humiliation and anger, of course, when you're there. And helplessness.
So to what degree would you say things have improved?
Well, to the extent that I can work. Do I enjoy working? Functioning like this? No.
Right.
Can I work? Yes.
There's a difference.
You know? Last year, for example, I couldn't work. I was working in a school, and between the classes, I would go into the toilet and cry, and kind of pray. I'm not religious, so it's just, you know, I don't believe in God, and I still prayed. Says, please stop this thing. So that was the state I was in last year, for example. You know, and now I don't cry and I don't pray, but it's still, I don't function as I should at all. So I don't enjoy things such as teaching. I don't enjoy things such as socializing as I should, definitely.
What's changed? If, you know, we were talking about before you started dealing with all these adverse effects, how much is your life different now? Do you still do any of those things? What's your life like now?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I had to move back to my parents because of what happened. But I mean, I moved from Argentina back to Sweden because I couldn't be on my own, and like as I said, the first 2 years I wouldn't be able to cook my own food, go shopping, you know, and stuff like that. My family saved my life there, you know, and I'm eternally grateful to them for that. So that is a big change to be forced to move back to your parents' house, you know, to live with them. I had to change my diet completely. I was a vegetarian for many years, over a decade, even more. And I had to change my diet because of this, and I don't want to eat meat. It's wrong. I feel it's wrong because of the ideological, you know, view I have, but I had to. I just had to because my body wouldn't cope with anything else.
Right.
You know. And social life, yeah, I'm much less active now in terms of meeting up with people and stuff. I still do meet up with people because I think it's better to do that than being on your own. Definitely.
Right.
I mean,
right.
In the end, it is.
Right. It
is much better. And people appreciate my presence, I have noticed. That's much appreciated, and that's great. But I do enjoy social life much less, of course. That's I can't reject. I can't deny that. You know. What I mean, on a psychological level, you have this regret, you know, everyday regret that you took the pill. You think about the moment when they prescribe you the pill and you want to just take that note and, you know, throw it away.
Yeah.
That regret is there all the time, and I know people have that as well. You know, like,
what about...
So easy to refuse, you know. Just, I don't want it. Stop.
Yeah.
But I have to say the romantic aspect right now is not something I think about too much, because the only thing you want to do is you want to be functional again. If and when you're cured, I mean, the romantic aspect is just a detail. Right. You know, so it will come automatically, you know. But one thing that is hard to deal with is the envy, you know, the envy of seeing people, normal people functioning, living their normal lives out there. Like I saw people sunbathing the other day, and I said, Lord, I wish I was just able to sunbathe like that. I mean, carelessly, like that as you are doing right now, people. Or like listening to music just carelessly.
Right.
Just, watching a movie without having cognitive issues, just laying back, anything, really. Eating an ice cream. That envy follows you everywhere where you go, that is and you want it to go, you want to walk, you want to go and tell them, just, you are so lucky, this is so beautiful. Just appreciate it, just what you have right now, because it's so beautiful.
It's one of the hardest things, isn't it? Like, I tell my friends that now all the time. I'm like, man, you just don't know how much you have until it's kind of all gone. Obviously, your family knows about PFS. You've said the impact that they've had in sort of, saving your life. What have you spoken to your friends about this? What's going on?
I've told some friends that I have neurological issues, and the only reason is because it's hard for them to grasp. I think that this pill. What do you mean this pill has done all this? It doesn't really matter. But I told them that there are neurological issues to some friends, not all friends. To those that I feel maybe they need to know or whatever. But I have to say, the only person that has, to some extent, really understood how serious this is, I think, is my brother. So I think it got through to him, in terms of my family, they saw something was severely wrong, but I don't think they understand that this condition is still with me today in the way it is, Because one thing I think some people that have this issue, they suffer from this, is that people see you and they say, well, you seem normal, You're here socializing with me. You're occasionally laughing even. So there couldn't be anything wrong with you, really. Is it so bad? That's the problem, really, As I say, if you have an amputated arm, people say, whoa, you don't have an arm.
Right.
That's serious. You really don't have an arm. But if you say my brain isn't functioning, I say, but it is. You're speaking to me. You're laughing. You're socializing. What do you mean? But still, I want to point out my family has saved my life, and they are wonderful people. I love them over anything else. But it's hard. I think it's hard for people to fully fully understand what this is really about. You have to give them that as well.
So I guess you've spoken about it today. It's a very difficult condition to live with. What keeps you going?
I think people that suffer from this, if they can't put up a fight, they should.
That's good.
If they feel even the slightest spark of I can pull up a fight here, they should. They should resist, and they should try to get better somehow. Try to live.
Absolutely.
So that's what keeps me going, at least these things.
Great. Well, thank you, Ardalan. We really appreciate your courage and bravery coming forward and speaking. It's a difficult thing to do, so thanks for coming on today.
It was a pleasure, and I hope this video will help. To spread the information about this condition and give it a face. We need more faces, definitely.
Thanks for watching today's episode. Please like this video, and if you're new to our channel, subscribe and check out our other content, and stay tuned as we'll be releasing lots of new content over the coming months. You can also find us at our website, pfsnetwork.org, or on Twitter @pfsnetwork. If you are a PFS patient or the loved one of a PFS patient, please consider donating generously to upcoming scientific research. You can learn more about our latest study and donate by heading over to our website using the link in our description below. Thanks for watching, and take care.